Hi, I'm going to be sharing with you today the story The Little Red Fort, and it's written by Brenda Mayer, and the pictures were by Sonia Sanchez. And this story is a fable, which you probably remember. A story that's a fable is one that's passed down from generation to generation, and a long time ago it started by word of mouth. The story usually teaches a lesson, and many times fables have speaking animals. Now, this particular story is a fractured folk tale. Now, fractured folk tales are based on stories that have been passed down for hundreds of years, but the author has changed things like perhaps the setting, the characters, or major events. So when you think about the story, The Little Red Fort, I'll bet you have a pretty good idea which story has been changed around, huh? So before I begin, I want to share with you some vocabulary that we're going to come across in the story. And one word is clutched, which you may or may not know means to be held tightly. We're also going to come across the word howled, which means cried loudly like a dog or a wolf. Creation, something that has been made. And aroma, a pleasant smell. So let's go ahead and begin. The Little Red Fort. On the title page, The Little Red Fort. Skip the page there. Ruby's mind was always full of ideas. Boy, the illustrator does a nice job of showing that mind full of ideas. One day, she found some old boards and said, "Who wants to help me build something?" she asked her brothers. Oscar Lee pretended not to hear. Oh, look at them. Rodrigo gave her a look that could melt popsicles. Now think, what kind of look would that be? One that could melt popsicles. Jose almost fell off the fence. "You don't know how to build anything," they said. Ruby shrugged. "Then I'll learn." And she did. Boy, she looks pretty determined on that page, doesn't she? "Who wants to help me draw the plans?" she asked. The boys clutched their sides and howled with laughter. "Not me," said Oscar Lee. "I don't think so," said Rodrigo. "No way," said Jose. "I'm too busy." "Fine," said Ruby. "I'll draw them myself." Now take a look. Does any of those brothers, or do any of those brothers seem to look too busy to you? I didn't think so either. And she did. Satisfied with her plans, Ruby asked, "Who will help me gather the supplies?" "Not me," said Oscar Lee. "I don't think so," said Rodrigo. "No way," said Jose. "I'm too busy." "Fine," said Ruby. "I'll gather them myself." And she did. There she goes. When all the supplies were gathered, Ruby asked, "Who wants to help me cut the boards?" "Not me," said Oscar Lee. "I don't think so," said Rodrigo. "No way," said Jose. "I'm too busy." "Fine," said Ruby. "I'll cut them myself." And she did. When all the boards were neatly cut, Ruby sang, "Who wants to help me hammer in the nails?" "Not me," said Oscar Lee. "I don't think so," said Rodrigo. "No way," said Jose. "I'm too busy." "Fine. I'll hammer them myself." And she did. Boy, and she did, didn't she? Soon Ruby's creation was complete. "Who wants to play with me in my fort?" she called. Oh, I bet you're making some predictions, aren't you? "Me," said Oscar Lee. "Let's go," said Rodrigo. "I'll play," said Jose. "I'm not busy anymore." "Not so fast," said Ruby. "You didn't help me draw the plans, or gather the supplies, or cut the boards, or hammer the nails. You said I didn't know how to build. And you laughed at me. I'm going to play in the fort all by myself." Now, is that how you would have handled it? Looks like a pretty cool fort, doesn't it? Looks like the coolest. You can come close so you can see that. Looks like a place I'd want to play. And she did. Boy, it looks like she's having a good time too, doesn't it? You think that's the end of the story? Do you think it should be the end of the story? "Huh! We didn't want to play anyway," the boy said. But they did. So they huddled, and they whispered, and they got straight to work. Oscar Lee made a mailbox. Rodrigo planted flowers. Jose painted the fort fire engine red. Can you see them doing that? Ruby was delighted. Oh boy. You're kind of seeing a shift in character here, aren't you? Mm-hmm. That evening, the boys followed a delicious aroma to a fort warming party. Now remember, an aroma is a delicious smell. What do you think that delicious smell is? Who wants to help me clean this plate? Can you see? I'm going to come close. What did Ruby make? Can you tell? We do, the boy said. And they did. Looks like they're all enjoying at the party. It looks like they're having some chocolate cookies or brownies. Everybody pitched in. And it looks like everybody was having a good time. And that is the Little Red Fort. So I want you to think, how did the author portray the brothers in this book? Think about that for a minute. And we talked about there was a shift in character. So how did those brothers make it up to Ruby the way they behaved throughout the story? How do you feel about her letting them play in the fort? Would you have done the same? That is the Little Red Fort. And later today, you're going to have a STEM activity where hopefully you'll build a little red fort. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did reading it to you.